The seas, vast, dark, mysterious, and Epcot? Yeah, that's right. Today we're covering the often overlooked Seas Pavilion. We'll be pitting the living seas against the seas with Nemo and Friends against each other. For those of you who don't know, which should be most of you since this is only my second video, I started this series to compare a ride to an attraction that took its place. I wanted to see if the rides that I enjoyed as a child are actually better than the ones that we have today. The only condition is I have to physically have been on the ride previously. So as of this recording, I can't do a ride comparing Mickey and Minnie's Railroad to the Great Movie Ride because I haven't been to the park since 2019. And also, before we get started, let me know some of your Disney memories, as I want to start a series in the future where we talk about experiences in the parks, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. Anyway, that's enough of preamble. Let's get to the video itself. January 15th, 1986, the Living Seas opened in the East Wing of Future World in Epcot. The original mission statement of Epcot Center was to educate people while on attractions. The Seas taught the history of sea exploration and was way more than a dark ride. It's home to a 5.7 million gallon saltwater tank, which was the largest at the time. The queue was a mini museum of sorts, showing off old diving equipment, models of submarines and depictions of seafaring structures and figures of both real and fictional. After that, you're shown a short film of the sea and the evolution of ocean exploration. After the video, you were squeezed into a quote-unquote elevator, which they dubbed the hydrolator, which wasn't even an elevator. The room had transparent panels that looked like ocean rocks with bubbles funneling upwards, giving the illusion of going down into the ocean floor. But you never actually went anywhere. After the doors opened, you were finally ready to ride the dark ride. You were seated in an omnimover they called sea cabs, reminiscent of what World of Motion and Journey into Imagination had at the time. You get a mini tour of the aquarium as a taste of what was to come. Windows were cut out all around you to see the sea life. The experience was rather short, only being about 2.5 minutes long. Their main event was once the ride ended. You landed in Sea Base Alpha, which is still called today, where you could freely explore the aquarium at your leisure. There were many activities you could take part in once you landed. One such as signing up for Dive Quest, where you could go diving in their saltwater tank as long as you were a licensed diver. There was even a robot named Jason that would give you even more history about submarines and sea exploration. A sort of precursor to Turtle Talk with Crush. The pavilion is even home to a restaurant inside the aquarium called the Coral Reef where they serve seafood. A little morbid, but the food is actually pretty good. In 1998, the Living Seas lost its sponsorship from United Technologies. Slowly, over the course of the next 7 years, the Seas Pavilion would see multiple cuts and changes before its official closing on August 21st, 2005. On January 4th, 2007, the world was introduced to the seas with Nemo and Friends. The writing was on the wall 3 years prior when Turtle Talk with Crush was introduced to the Living Seas post-show. It was a show where kids could ask questions to the popular Disney character. A cast member off-screen would answer them back in real time. The museum queue was traded in for a rather clever gradual walk into the sea, starting off on a boardwalk and slowly going deeper and deeper into the ocean. As the lighting gets darker, the seagulls and other bird songs get replaced by the sounds of ocean waves and bubbles. Instead of using the sea cab track, Nemo and Friends opted to build a completely new ride system, trading in the navy blue omnimovers for giant orange clamshells. This choice would bring the ride duration from 2.5 minutes to about 4 minutes. Most of the ride show takes place outside the aquarium, which was the highlight of the original ride, but did however save the aquarium for the ride's climax. The attraction is a sequel of sorts to the original film where Nemo gets lost again, the second time in 2 years. I'm beginning to think this is a parenting issue. Nemo's opening would spell the end for Epcot's refusal of using Disney IPs in the park, paving the way for other popular Disney movies and cartoons to be shown off in other capacities in Epcot, such as The Three Caballeros 2 years later, and of course, Frozen Ever After. So I'll be honest, I don't remember much from the Living Seas. My mom was extremely claustrophobic, so the hydrolators were very uncomfortable for her. It's just not something my family did very often, which sucks because seeing the bubbles in that little elevator room was so cool for a young chicken such as myself. I looked over several videos to try to unlock some hidden memories, and I can recall the short yet somewhat unremarkable aquarium dark ride. But fun fact, if you look to the right side of the aquarium in the post show, you could actually see where the old track was. It's a cool Easter egg to look out for on your next trip. I do, however, remember watching the divers and always wanted to try it, but no matter how you slice it, there's few better combos than aquarium and Epcot. I also recommend eating at the Coral Reef restaurant at least once. The food's actually pretty good. But am I a terrible person for eating fish in front of the parents? The answer is probably yes. As for Nemo and Friends, it's just another ride to me. I appreciate the longer ride duration, and it just has more to look at than the original, but it lacks in the variety in the post show, and more than makes up for than putting kids to sleep while waiting online, although the museum is really cool. I really enjoy the boardwalk to ocean floor queue, and somehow the air always feels damp when you enter the show building, which may be just due to Florida humidity. I've touched on this before in my YouTube shorts, but the last scene where they play Big Blue World always depresses me. I have no explanation as to why this happened, and I'm hoping one day someone will tell me this happens to them as well. Although I fear that day will never come. My last random takeaway from this pavilion is the gift shop. More specifically, the full-size candy bars you can buy. I always want to buy one after this ride, and I know other gift shops offer the same thing, but Nemo and Hershey go hand in hand in my mind. So now it's time to pick a winner, and honestly it's not very close. The newer version gets the gold medal for me. Although I wouldn't consider either of these rides amazing, overall the more colorful presentation and longer duration was enough for me to give this the nod. Having a dark ride through an aquarium is a great idea, and I don't think the Living Seas pulled it off quite as well as they could have. The original idea for this ride was to be steeped in mythology, where you were actually caught in a storm by Poseidon, which was a great idea, but the sponsor United Technologies wanted to go in a different direction. But both attractions made history in their own way and deserve to be remembered for the legacy they left behind. The Living Seas was so much more than a dark ride and had so much to do within the pavilion itself. And having a then record for biggest saltwater tank in the world at the time, the Living Seas was a testament to old Epcot Center. For better or for worse, its closure ushered in an age of Disney IP being allowed in Epcot, and it changed the identity of the park as we know it. But guys, that'll do it for this episode. Join me next week as we hop on the monorail to Magic Kingdom and review a Tomorrowland classic. And as always, leave a like if you enjoyed this, subscribe if I earned it, and thank you so very much for watching.